means you should control the politics of your community, the economy of your community, and all of the society in which you live should be under your control. But when you go to a church and you see the pastor of that church with a philosophy and a program that's designed to bring black people together and elevate black people, join that church. Join any kind of organization, civic, religious, fraternal, political, or otherwise, that's based on lifting the black man up and making him master of his own community.
Everyday People, My Celebrities with Lieutenant Jones, Coach Kennedy, and Coach B. Okay, we've been waiting on a hero while standing in the mirror, waiting on a savior while the answer's getting clearer. A community divided is easy to control, but a community united can heal its own soul. This ain't about race. This is about responsibility, about loving where you live and protecting your possibilities. No more solving pain with pain. No more silence, no more shame. It's time we change the game by changing what we claim. Our streets, our schools, our dollars, our dreams. Our voices louder than they've ever been. Politics, economy, culture, and care. When we build it together, we all get a share. They told us, wait your turn. We said, we'll build our lane. They told us, stay distracted. We said, we breaking chains. And if the world feels shaky, like the boat about to sink, don't panic. Build an ark, big enough for everyone who think. That's UMYO Network, community for the community, where action meets intention and solutions meet unity. So if you're tired of talking and you're ready to participate, if you see we all connected, then the time is now. So you're not late. So take your seat at the table. Now bring your story, bring your truth, because power don't live in titles. It lives in everyday you. Welcome to Everyday People, My Celebrities. I'm Coach B, where the village gathers and the future gets built by the people.
The stories that he told were really fascinating of that generation. To be able to leave high school at 17 to fight for your country. So that kind of stuck with my mind on what he did. He put something bigger than himself ahead of himself. And his mother was from Russia, and she left Russia in the early 1900s by herself at age 6. The Tsar in Russia was killing a lot of the Jewish settlers in the towns in Russia, so they had a big migration to get out of there. And then imagine coming on a boat in the early 1900s at age 6 by herself.
Yeah.
So he taught us a lot too about purpose. Her motto was be grateful for what you have. Figure out why God put you here. And what are you going to do to make the world better? I remember her going to South Beach before it was South Beach, and she would go to a department store and buy these little perfume bottles by Estee Lauder, and she would give them out to the doorman at her apartment, the guy in the garage that washed the cars, and she would recognize people that people just overlooked. So that all these little things had a impact over time. And I think because of my health challenge, I've had a skin problem since I've aged 3. That led me into the health arena, and then eventually I was hospitalized 3 different hospitals and for a skin problem, and that didn't do anything. So I I went to I was coaching tennis at the time at Kent State and John Carroll. And I said, I have to do something. This medication not working. So I started researching, how do I regain my health without the drugs? 1989, we started a newspaper with another lady called Healthy Referral. And so we've been researching and publishing and doing expos and radio shows since 1989 on how to regain your health without the drugs and the medication. Through our experiences, we put on 16 natural health shows, which is it's an incredible amount of work. And through that, we met a gentleman named Don Tolman, who studied in the Bible that Daniel ate pulse, P-U-L-S-E, instead of the king's food, and became wiser and stronger. And he spent 16 years going through ancient scrolls and texts and Bibles to discover finally that pulse was the ancient ratio of nuts, grains, seeds, and fruits based on God's law of how we were put together. For example, a beet looks like our heart, and the roots of the beet look like our arteries. So beets are one of the best things for circulation. A walnut looks like your brain. Hard shell, 2 compartments. Fats in the walnut are good for the brain. You peel an orange, it looks like your skin. And the bioflavonoids in the orange are very good for the skin. Piece of celery looks like your bones. And the minerals in the celery are good for your bones. So that really opened up my eyes on understanding or getting a better picture of nature's intelligence. And then eventually I stopped eating meat and dairy after a tennis lecture, I don't know, about 35 years ago, because I saw the damage in what it does in your health. And just always adjusting according to nature, what foods provide your body energy. We met a Dr. Clapper, emergency medicine doctor. He took the blood of a patient 1 hour after a hamburger, and the test tube was 90% full of fat. 1 hour after his patient ate a hamburger. So if you look at those things, and you look how complex our body and our mind is, and you look at nature, the things that live the longest with no disease, like the blue whale, lived to 160, 170, 170 years old with no disease. So what are they eating? They're eating plankton, the smallest organism on the earth that converts sunlight to energy better than any other plant. So if you look at that from that perspective on how valuable your body and mind is, you begin to seek out foods that supply you with energy from lower on the food chain. And you go into any nursing home and you see people sitting in a wheelchair with their head slumped over, waiting for the meter to run out. And they don't know any of this. So we had our mission to publish a newspaper, do radio shows, do expos, and we still do as much as we can, still do the newspaper, and let people know that your body is too valuable to put all these toxins inside mentally and nutritionally. It's eventually it'll catch up with you. My dad had Alzheimer's. He didn't know who I was. He smoked for 30 years. Damage was done. My mom had 3 cancers in a row. The big hospitals wanted more radiation. He said, jump in the lake. We found Dr. Block in Chicago who wrote Life Over Cancer. He's a top. It's called integrative oncology. Now, what does that mean? That means his approach is an integrative approach. He uses top nutrition, he uses anti-inflammatory foods, he uses something called a chronomodulated chemo, which is like a micro chemo according to your biorhythms. It's not just a bunch of chemicals and chemo and radiation and good luck. So his protocol reversed my mom's breast cancer.
Wow.
So we have first-hand knowledge on these things, and most people would never even hear about or know about, because most of the media is paid for by big pharmaceutical companies. So we knew right away when the COVID scare hit what the playbook was. The playbook was very simple. It was an enormous money grab for the big pharmaceuticals. And if you look on the board of the FDA board, they're former pharmaceutical executives. Now, there might be some drugs here or there that could help, but that's not nature's answer, is my point. A lab cannot duplicate nature. All it does is make the plants toxic. They have some effect on your body and 30 side effects. So go back a couple minutes here, and I was in my early tennis career when I was at Kent State, John Carroll. I met an ear surgeon from Warren, Ohio, named Dr. Lippy. And he was going to Israel to do pre-surgery on the Israeli army ear surgery. He was a famous ear surgeon. And at that time, Israel was still being bombed. A lot of families were leaving, and he wanted to create some normalcy. So he and a bunch of guys raised $2 million. He got the mayor of Tel Aviv to donate land, and they put up their first tennis center near Tel Aviv in the late 70s. Called the Israel Tennis Centers. And I met him and the top 4 Israeli juniors at the time that were training at his house or nearby at a club. And I said, can I help you out? He said, sure. So that was my first experience. So I went to Israel for about almost 3 months. Stayed with a friend of mine from the Israeli Defense Force, who had his leg blown off, stepping on a mountain, trying to capture some Israeli soldiers. So he stepped on a landmine, and the force of the landmine pushed his nose almost off his face. So I stayed with him, and he spent the next 30 years getting skin grafts taken from all over his body to rebuild his face. His name was a guy, he's in his late 70s now. I showed him how to play tennis. He could, if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know he had an artificial leg. But so that experience that planted a seed in my mind, and why not do that here in the U.S.? Fast forward, we're friends with Butch Reynolds, who's an Olympic gold medalist, former world record holder in the 400 for a long time. ESPN did a 30 for 30 on him. So we've been friends for early 90s and through our newspaper, and we said, why don't we do a joint venture? And we found some potential land in Akron near the old Goodyear tire headquarters to build a real true international tennis track academy. So we're in the midst of that, working on that now to find what the costs are to build it, and eventually, and then operate it, and then raise the money. So there's the naming rights, so there's no mortgage, and raise the money so you can offer scholarships out to kids that deserve it. It's about 4 miles from LeBron's high school. It's about 4.5 miles from the school he set up called I Promise. And he made a deal with you. He made a deal with the University of Akron that anybody that graduates from I Promise School, they got an automatic scholarship to University of Akron.
Wow.
So we also want to host one of our tennis pros that will help us is out of Atlanta. His name is Eric Graves. He played #1 at Morehouse. He's one of the top coaches in the country. He trained Donald Young, was top 50 in the world. And he's part of our team. We want to host a major HBCU tournament, like with Morehouse and Howard and Hampton and schools like that. Florida A&M, where Althea Gibson went to school. And have that be a major fundraiser and expose the HBCU history. Johnny Cochran, the famous attorney who passed, went to Morehouse.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to ask this law firm if they like to call it the Cochran HBCU Tennis Open. So we have all these ideas, including a exchange program with Israel, HBCU. We have some new ideas on how to fund this indirectly through a friend of ours out of Atlanta who has some connections with the royal family and the Saudi investment fund. So we're looking at that. I don't have anything in writing yet, but that's one of our ideas for funding it. So there's no mortgage and all of our expenses are covered, more than covered. And we could fly the kids in from Saudi Arabia, have them go to school and train at the academy. And with Butch's help, because Olympic gold medalist, former world record holder, speed coach at Ohio State under Tressel, I think the combination of those two things would make it quite unique. So that's a huge project, and so that gets me excited, and we do a little bit every day to keep it moving. We found a company out of New Jersey that's importing indoor clay out of Germany. And they're building red clay courts all over this country. They're in the beginning stages. So this will be one of a kind red clay indoor tennis center. And does not need watering. So we see a lot of things happening, and this will make it one of a kind, and also give us the exposure of one of very unique courts there's not many in the U.S. right now. So our big goal, our big mission, get this tennis/track academy done, and also find the funding so we can put out more of our Healthy Referral newspapers with some of these resources that I've been mentioning this afternoon, so people know where to look, and also provide, like you're doing, provide kids an opportunity to be part of it, help sell some of our things, make some money, give them a financial opportunity while they're in junior high, so they don't have to depend on selling drugs on the corner.
That part.
So that is a quick snapshot of 30 some years and 15 minutes or less, but I hope that gives you a brief or a good overview.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Can you tell us a little bit more about how people can find or where to find your newspaper? Do you have a website?
Yeah, our website is healthyreferral.com. Healthy with a Y, referral, one F, two R's, healthyreferral.com. Got tons of, we got probably over 60, 70 articles up there. You need to email us a question. It's healthyreferral@gmail. And we could find them whatever they're looking for, a health resource or a product they might want to sell that we share revenue. Like the phone I'm talking to you right now has a little ceramic disc on the back called the cell phone shield. Our friend is a national distributor. It absorbs the radiation coming into the phone. I don't know if you remember back before cell phones, they had pagers?
Yes, sir.
We knew a doctor
Yes, sir.
that wore a pager. We knew a doctor that wore a pager on his hip all the time. And guess where he had his cancer?
Hmm.
On his hip.
On the hip. Yeah.
So people don't realize the dangers of the 5G and continuing using their mobile phone close to their body all the time, or their computers, and all this EMF between wireless and more cell towers. And I don't know if you remember, there's a town near Cincinnati that almost half the town had cancer because they're living so close to these huge electrical grid stations that are giving out so much electromagnetic frequency. Almost half the town had cancer.
Wow.
So a lot of it just, making people aware of things that they would never even think about. That's those are a couple things. I would recommend for as far as food books go, Dr. Joel Furman, who's out of New Jersey. We don't really sell his book, but we endorse it. It's called 100 Top Foods. It's one of the better books on what foods to eat that I've seen. Dr. Joel Furman, he's on PBS all the time. Dr. Block, who writes for us, wrote Life Over Cancer. I'd recommend that book. Dr. Esselstyn, who writes for us, was a contributor, who wrote Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. He was at the Cleveland Clinic. He reversed 20 cardiac patients' heart disease with a strict plant-based diet.
Okay.
What do you think I'll ask you a question. What do you think the number one reason for heart disease is?
I would bad food, man. The food that's in our fast food, additives, everything frozen food, anything that they can do to create the shelf life on the food, on all the products that we eat. All we do is stick it in a microwave oven, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, and I've heard that some countries, they even ban the food that's made. If they wouldn't even allow some of the foods that we eat here in the United States, they wouldn't even allow it overseas. And
Well,
until
Europe is
recently, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying Europe is more careful about that than the U.S. The U.S. farmers, unfortunately, are bought and paid by Monsanto that uses chemicals all over the place in genetic crops. But the number one reason why for the heart problems is too much animal fat and protein going through the arteries. The body naturally produces something called nitric oxide, which it's the same thing as what's the main freeway in Dallas there, Les? What is it called?
LBJ.
Okay. So here's the analogy. People that have parts of the world that have too much animal fat and protein, it's like the LBJ having orange barrels where there's only one lane. So the things that produce nitric oxide, which clears up the orange barrels on the LBJ, that produce nitric oxide are like beets, arugula, bok choy, mustard green, kale, collards, steam. So those are foods that beets that produce nitric oxide to get the orange barrels off the LBJ. So, I'm giving you an analogy. And Dr. Esselstyn showed that. There's a TED talk that he did, 14 minutes. Go watch that. And I think I texted you once before, but it's a 14-minute on TED Talks, and it shows what happens to the arteries with too much animal fat and protein, and how you can reverse it. People don't realize that just like I mentioned before earlier in the conversation, one hamburger, 90% of the fat's into the blood within an hour.
Mm. Mm.
And anything that's I'm not saying don't eat animals, or but you have to really watch it. Is it farm raised? Is it set up with genetics? There's a big chicken company, I won't mention the name, that used to grow their chickens. They usually normally take 2 years. Now they grow their chickens in about 6 weeks. Now, if they're speeding up the growth that quickly, what are they doing? So what are the NFL players that have cancer? What were they doing? They're injecting steroids. So you're eating steroids.
Mm.
And plus, chickens, even lean chickens, have a lot of fat in it. And the fat is the more fat, animal fat, it's like putting more orange barrels on the LBJ. It's hard to get through. That's there again. This, but that that's Dr. Esselstyn. We had, Dr. Block, as I told you about. Dr. Maroon Wright has been a contributor. He's the head neurologist for the Steelers. He writes on anti-aging. There's another great doctor out of California, Dr. Lufkin, Lufkin, who just wrote a great book about a year ago called "Lies I Taught in Medical School." How Western, that's out of the book. How Western Medicine is Making You Sick and What to Do About It. Dr. Robert Lufkin, Lufkin. You can go on his website, sign up for his newsletter. So most people, we're just lucky to research and find out about these things that it's important to share so people are educated, make their own decision. But at least you have other options of what to decide on, and not what you see, which is basically paid by big agriculture and big pharma. So the whole point is you go back to the Bible, you go back studying nature's intelligence, not a lab. Now, I don't know, are you familiar with Rockefeller medicine?
No, I am not. Tell us about that.
The first Rockefeller, way back in the days of Henry Ford, had a lot of investment in petroleum, as you know, and drugs were made from petroleum. So he kind of hijacked the American Medical Association and suppressed natural health treatments. And he also was a major funder of a chemical group in Germany called IG Farben, Farben, which today it's known through like Bayer aspirin, or IG Farben was the main industrial complex that helped fund Hitler's war machine. So it was basically Rockefeller who suppressed natural treatments, natural remedies, because he didn't want it to interfere with his stock holdings in pharmaceuticals and petroleum. And he actually told Henry Ford, too, to stop making the cars with hemp. Stop making fuel from hemp. You'll screw up my oil business. Wow. So that was... so we knew... Dr. Horowitz spoke about 25 years ago. He wrote the first book on the origins of AIDS and Ebola. So guess what he found, so you don't have to read 300 pages.
I'm counting on you, Tom.
That he found in his book, through lot of footnotes and research that the Ebola, AIDS virus, all those were man-made in a lab. And the same doctors working for the National Health Institute were also working for military contractors for biowarfare. So we knew when the COVID crap came out, we knew the playbook. And nothing to do with health. Nothing to do with health at all. And there's so many people that fell for it. And the tyranny of mayors and governors also, with a few exceptions, fell for it. And they were basically, the people who were making decisions were bought and paid by the companies who were making the most profit. And to force people to get a shot or else you lose your job, I call that tyranny. And to fire doctors who spoke out, that's also tyranny. They were bowing down to the big dollar, the big pharma, where they get their money from. So people need to be aware of it. There's a group called National Health Federation. National Health Federation. I think it's BNHF.com. That's the oldest health freedom group in the world. Mid 1950s. And they fight for our freedom to choose. They fight against Monsanto wanting to change the definition of genetic foods to organic. They fight for no EMF. They fight for our freedom to choose and not have it forced down our throat by companies that really don't care about health, but it's all about the dollar and the profit.
Mm-hmm.
So we were aware of all this a long time ago when this came out. So we tried to warn everybody that the shot is bogus. And I actually got mad at some pastors that I know. They were shutting down their church. I said, they cannot stop freedom of prayer and freedom of religion because of a made up COVID thing. The 6-foot rule was made out of thin air. So I told the pastor, here's what you do. Don't cancel your service. Have your congregation meet you at Home Depot in the lumber aisle. And do your service. Home Depot never closed. Neither did Lowe's. They were essential while other businesses were being flushed down the toilet. So it goes way beyond just health. It's the control over society with a fake scare.
Wow. Wow.
So, anyway, just to make you aware of some things we've come across over the last 30 years, and I'm giving you some of the highlights here, so you'll be aware of certain things, and just be more cautious of doing your research and where you're going to do your research from. Now, by the way, the National Health Federation is having their annual meeting at the Embassy Suites at DFW Airport in April.
Is that going to be in your newspaper?
Well, they've always been in our newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah, they've always been in our newspaper, but they're going to have their annual meeting at Embassy Suites at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport in April. If you're able to go, that would be really enlightening. National Health Federation is called.
Okay.
So
we'll do.
Anyways, I hope some of this was helpful. It's not easy to find what I'm telling you over the last 30 minutes. It's very difficult to find this stuff. It's very, very hard. Giving you information you probably would never come across.
Well, you're giving us and the people that will be tuned in and listening to you, Tom, a lot of important information. I think that our consciousness, not only for the youth, but for the older generations, is gradually changing. Let me ask you, back on the subject of control. Of course, you know a little bit about the UMYO platform. You're a part of it. You've been a part of it in the past. You talk about big pharma's influence on shaping policy and laws in our country, which is actually just controlling, right? Let me share with you your idea, or share with us your idea about big tech, or let me ask you this. What is your idea about big tech's influence and how they've created a cycle of negative misinformation? As you mentioned, the COVID shot, and negative entertainment, which just divides us. You know, many of us are influenced by Western education. And so my question is, what are your thoughts about proposing a shift to community-owned platforms that allows us to control and monetize our own data? What are your thoughts about controlling and monetizing our own data, Tom?
Well, anytime you could bring it in-house and not have somebody else that doesn't have your values control it, that's a positive thing. Because big tech was in bed with big pharma. You have to remember how much money big pharma spends on advertising. Why if you watch a TV show, which I don't really watch very rarely, like 80% of the ads are drug ads. Now the drug not pay for the ads, but they also tell the host on what to say, what they to say when they read the news. So it's all. You might as well be living in Cuba with a propaganda machine, because that's what it is. So the answer,
Tom,
yeah.
Tom, this is Bernard with UMYO. Nice to be able to listen to your voice again. Nice to be able to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, look like you haven't aged at all, man, since the last time that I spoke with you, and got all of that knowledge. I'm listening to you, right? And the first thing I'm thinking, something that Lieutenant was talking about, is for those individuals to that hear this message, the information that they're going to be receiving from research that very few can do themselves, and how important this information is. Also, what I like is, even when you was talking about, you know, the HBCUs, and we definitely want to send you something in reference to the HBCUs and see how we can somehow support and be a part of that, definitely from the fundraising perspective. And we're going to send you that information. But everything it is you're talking about is much needed information. It's just very difficult for people to receive this information, right? First of all, like you said, how do you go and research something if you don't even know where to start to research it, right? We talked about the 5G, the importance of us protecting ourselves against 5G probably a few years before they even came out with it, right? And now they're out with it, and everybody's so excited to get it because they don't understand the power of the 5G and the negativity that it's going to cause on our body. So I'm listening to you, but all this knowledge, this is one show of many. I believe that if you have individuals like yourself who have all of this knowledge, and you can't put it in one show. So we want you to come back as a recurring guest, from time to time to inform us, right? There's so much that you're doing. All of the major connection to deals that you have, we need that, right? We need people like you. I love the fact that you're able to connect with so many people of so many backgrounds, so many cultures, so many ethnicities. It shows who you are, it shows why you are, and it shows that you understand your purpose and you're walking in that purpose. I love the fact also that you're opening up doors for other people to be able to see the mirror of self-reflection, right? So that they can see and understand exactly what their purpose is. But it cannot be done without knowledge, right? And you're providing that knowledge. So I definitely want to say thank you. It's a pleasure listening to you always, right? But listening to you now, it's like you have even more knowledge, right? It kind of also, and I know I'm talking, but it kind of also remind me of individuals who, because I shared with my sons years back, I said what I would normally do is I would always go to a senior or go to an elder, right? And I would always just ask them questions, and you'll be surprised as to how much knowledge and information it is that they have because they're talking based upon the experience and they're talking based upon facts. Uh, uh, but you'll be surprised as to how much you can learn if you just take the time to listen. Take the time to listen. Take the time to listen. And that's what I'm doing now is absorbing that information. So the knowledge that you have now, we have it. So I just want to say thank you, my brother, for sharing, and just thank you for everything it is that you're doing, what you've been doing, and your consistency. And that goes a long way. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your kind words there, Bernard, and also Les's. Both your hospitality and what you're doing it from the ground up, which is important. So you have control over the message. You have control over the tech. Easier said than done. It's all very complicated what you're doing. So I appreciate that, and ours just is sharing 30 plus years of exposure to these different resources that are very, very difficult to find. So this way, you don't have to do 30 years of research. We give you the highlights today and on your website, but I'm very picking today some of the main highlights I think people need to be aware of.
Absolutely. I also would like for you to, Kennedy, would you just mention to Tom a little bit about who you are? Tom, Kennedy is, and I'm going to let him speak for himself. When you brought up Miriam with the Mavericks, the owner, the family, that's who came to mind. This gentleman came to mind as maybe a possible person that may be of interest to maybe someone in that Mavericks network, especially since the family purchased the Mavs basketball team. But let me let Kennedy let you know who he is. He's a great friend of mine and Bernard's, an awesome young man. Go ahead, Kennedy. Let Tom know who you are.
How you doing, Mr. Tom? Nice to meet you.
Hi there.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm from Nigeria.
Okay.
I'm a UFC fighter. I'm also a minister and a life coach for the youth. That's just a brief summary about myself. And That's just to cut it short.
Wow. When did you leave Nigeria?
2009.
Okay. Did you know there were two players I met years ago that were on the pro tennis tour from Nigeria, Nduka Odizor and
Meduka.
Tony Mo.
Something Mo.
Yeah, MH something. They were both great soccer players, or football. But they were on the pro. They were one of the few players from Nigeria that were on the pro tour like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, well the one that you said about Mo, his heritage, his ethnic group is Yoruba, and the other one is Igbo. His ethnic group is Igbo. So I'm from the Igbo ethnic group.
Okay, and how did you pick Dallas to come to?
So I was actually born here in the Parkland. So when at age 5, my parents took us back, me and my siblings, and we grew up there over the years. And we came back 2009 when I was 17. And my parents were already living here in Dallas when I came.
Wow. Now, can you pronounce your name again? Or how did
Yes,
they were correct?
my first name is Nzechuku, my middle name Chinedum Ikenna Nzechuku.
No, say that the first name real slowly again.
First name Kennedy. My two native names, my two native middle names is Ikenna. Ikenna. Yes,
Ikenna.
and Chinedum.
Chinedum. Oh, that's
Yes.
very. Well, great to meet you. So, Les, I mentioned that you're in the U.S. You're in the fighting world too, is still.
Yes, sir. The organization is called the EFC, and yeah, so I compete for them, and my last competition was on December 7th.
White.
Oh, I can't hear you. I think it's twitching the.
Is that run by
White.
Dana? Is that UFC? Is that run by Dana White?
Yes, sir. Dana White. He's the CEO.
Oh, gotcha. I've never met him, but it's an amazing organization he's put together to build it up like that. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a huge organization, and yeah, I've been competing for them for like 6 years and a half. Yeah,
Wow.
this is a huge organization, and it's getting bigger, especially now that they've linked up with Paramount. They've made a deal with Paramount, and it's actually getting bigger.
And how many more years do you think you want to, give it a go with your in the ring?
I feel like I feel like it's my time is up with the organization, and I just feel like my life is heading in another trajectory. I don't wish to beat up my body no more, because the same reasons that got me there isn't the same that's keeping me there, and I feel like I've grown beyond that now.
Mm-hmm. And is Mr. White is he offered to help you move to your next career?
Well, they don't really care about the next career. As a fighter's it's a fighter's responsibility of getting themselves there. But when you decide to leave the organization, and you're just for me, I decide on not fighting again. But usually other fighters, when they want to like join another promotion, they want to get their contracts terminated, and that's a whole nother negotiation. But for me, I don't want to compete. I don't want to compete in physical combat again.
Gotcha. So your mission is very close to Les, is to help uplift children. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, and what are some ways that you're doing that?
Mentoring the kids, the youth, the ones I'm capable of doing right now, and I'm around the community where I live in. Talking to them, especially even the ones at church, because I go to Winners Assembling Church, and it's in South Dallas. It's located near like a impoverished neighborhood, and just talking to the youth there and helping them, the ones I'm capable of reaching out to. And we really want to take it make it bigger and on bigger scale. So we're negotiating on other things with Mr. Bernard and his friends that has a bigger facility in order to use that, utilize that facility to reach out to more youth.
Okay, and what are some of the things you want to teach the youth?
Um, being a minister too is I really want to get them closer to God, for them to understand who they are. And because a lot of them grew up in single parent homes, and some of them don't really have parents to begin with. And I just want to help them understand and enhance their knowledge and wisdom when it comes to approaching life itself, and also to teach them how to become healthy adults. Because healthy adults creates a safer society, and eventually we're gonna get older, and they're gonna get younger and stronger, and if they're the future leaders of this society.
Okay, I have a friend of mine who's one of the tennis coaches. I think it's either A&M or I'm trying to think what I know it's a Texas school. I'd have to look it up after we're done here. I will, maybe I could connect him with Les, and maybe they could do a field trip. And he's worked with a lot of players on the pro tour. He did work with was at Florida, University of Florida, under Mr. Shelton, whose son Ben Shelton is now top 10 in the world in the tennis tour. So he has a lot of connections. His name is Scott Perlman, but I'll follow him and see if I can connect him with Les, and he can give you some ideas on how to maybe have a field trip, just open up, give the kids a new experience.
Yes, sir.
Kennedy, let me ask you a question. I know he was asking about, from a financial perspective, how can you help the youth? And I know that you just put a video on your Instagram about helping the youth, as well as about helping other MMA fighters who are needing support, financial support while they're going through training. Also, gyms who are needing the extra support, but how you can compensate the MMA fighters and anybody that's dealing with MMA fighting as a sports ambassador for UMYO Sports. So I think that's what he was kind of like asking you. And we're working with.
Oh, okay. Well, as
Go ahead,
far
man.
as the assisting fighters and gyms, because as we know, fighters, they don't really have much sponsorship as far as generating extra income, because the UFC, they kind of eliminated the ability to be sponsored when they had the UFC deal, and it started when they had the Reebok deal about 7 years ago, where they eliminated the fact. Usually the fighters, they have when they walk out to the cage, they have their own clothing on, and they have their sponsors and the companies that's sponsoring them behind their that are kind of patented on their clothing. And when they're in the cage, they usually have their banner, which then comprise of it has all the sponsors on it. But on UFC, I guess they wanted to stop that, and that's when they had the Reebok deal. From the Reebok deal, they had the Venom deal. From the Venom deal, now they kept switching. But what we have going on with UMYO is where we get to build this platform where people get to subscribe to the platform, and we have different packages. And for instance, if a fighter has like 30,000 followers, and he gets at least 15,000 of those followers to subscribe to $2.99 a month, portion of those dividends will go to the fighter, and certain percentage of those payments will go to the fighter, and will be able to help the fighter when it comes to finances. So that's what we're trying to do with the UMYO platform, and we're still at the beginning of it, where we're kind of creating more exposure, and we're utilizing social media as far as Facebook, Instagram, to kind of put it out there in publicity to let people know. We've reached out to several other gyms and other fighters, and a couple of them are interested, but a couple of them don't really know what we're trying to do here. But the ones that they did reply to our invitation, are we're trying to educate them and send more articles and more information for them to understand what we're trying to do. This is not just for us, but to assist the fighters in the gyms. And this is
Yeah.
not just for. Yes, sir.
Did Dana White make the deal with Reebok?
Yeah, the first one, it was Reebok, and the second one was I can't remember the next product, but the final one, the one they're with now, is Venom. So they made a sponsorship deal with Venom, and what's the Rock Dwayne Johnson's his logo, what's the name? Under Armour, yeah, I think so. But yeah, so they now have a sponsorship with Monster Energy drink, Venom, and I can't remember the Rock's his own products. So now it's like the fighters cannot have their own sponsors on their back or on their banner when they're entering the arena and into the cage. So they do pay the fighters for sponsorship, but it's not as much as what the fighters were able to obtain before that, because a lot of fighters were able to get at least 30,000, 40,000. A lot of them were able to get at least 50 or above when it comes to revenue from sponsorship deals. But now it's like they're paying fighters 6,000, and that's the base pay for sponsorship. So it really depreciated when they eliminated the ability for fighters to have their sponsors.
Yeah. So since Reebok, do you have? Are you familiar with who runs basketball at Reebok now? Are you?
I'm sorry, sir. You said, am I familiar with?
Are you familiar with who's running basketball at Reebok right now?
No, sir.
It's Shaq and Allen Iverson.
Okay.
So could it a separate division be a sponsor of your youth program?
Sorry, the network was twitching a little bit, sir. I couldn't hear the middle parts of what you said.
Would it be a bad idea to see if Reebok would like to sponsor your initiative with the kids by going directly to Shaq, Allen Iverson?
I would love that, sir. That'd be awesome.
I don't know them personally, but I know people I think that do. Are you
Yes,
familiar
sir.
with Mark? Or do you know Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg, the actor.
Yes.
Yes, I know of him.
He has a separate division. I think it's called F45. They're like small gymnasium training centers. Are you familiar with F45?
F45. Is it like a strength and conditioning for athletes facility?
It's like it's a small private training gym for one-on-one training. He has
Yes,
them
I know of this.
a franchise all over the country.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Because that might be a good segue for the fighters that are trying to get out of the business that need they can use their skills and manage the gyms for him, and then
Mm-hmm.
in exchange, maybe he could help fund your youth program too.
Oh, okay. That'd be awesome, sir.
So this way, you can act as a what's the word I'm looking for? As a
Ambassador.
well, not only ambassador, but a source for
Spokesman.
qualified trainers to help manage or these independent gyms that he's setting up all over the place. That's 45.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to try to reach out to those individuals as well, Brother Kennedy. That's good information to know. Again, and let me share this with you. And this is what he's this is what he's doing, reaching out to the MMA fighters now, right? And he's sharing with them that whether you're professional, Anybody that's in the MMA community, whether you're a professional, amateur, your gym, your owner, trainer, manager, coach, we're inviting them to become a part of this global movement that's built by community, for community. There's an estimated, what is it, 550 to 700 million MMA fans worldwide. So we created the digital ecosystem that connects the fighters with the fan base, um, and also sharing with those organizations that are already out there, that we're not attacking or blaming or bashing any organization or promotion. It's about solidarity, sustainability, and community, so that those fighters can receive the type of compensation it is that they're looking for. As the fighters register, half of the percentage goes back to the fighter. Let me take that back. 30% to 40% goes back to the fighters, and 20% goes to the members who are registered in prize giveaways. So it's our way of not only empowering the MMA fighters who are looking for the additional resources, but it's also saying thank you to the fans by providing them with different prize giveaways each and every month.
That's very good. Let me ask you this question. Let's just say hypothetically, American Airlines, I think it's based in Dallas, right?
Yes, sir.
So what if you told them the MMA Speakers Bureau, and they put up $500,000 where you can send your fellow MMA retired fighters out to different schools to talk to them about exactly what you're doing?
Oh my God, that would be absolutely amazing, because it provides them with that compensation that they're looking for, but it also opens up the doors, more doors, for UMYO to be able to provide more opportunities for more fighters. That would be absolutely amazing.
It seems like there's a hidden opportunity there with your own Speakers Bureau. Would you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I share with the lieutenant. Anytime that you're doing something, and I know that you know this too as well, Tom, especially when it comes to technology, uh, we our objective is to educate individuals the difference between algorithm and the difference between data.
Excellent observation. Let me ask you a question. How many MMA fighters are in the winding down their career that are also in the same boat as you, that are looking, because the MMA is not going to support you after you retire? How many are there similar to your situation?
MMA fighters.
Yes.
Um, well, if you're talking MMA fighters in general, a lot. If you're talking about UFC, just UFC, then that's a different number. But MMA, wow, that's I don't even know. That's a lot because there's several different organizations besides the UFC. We have UFC, we have PFL, we have LFA, we have DBX, we have XKO. There's so many. So in each organization, there. Wow, there's a lot of fighters in every organization. UFC has about 500 fighters total, and oh man, that's a lot. I don't even know the numbers, because I know the fighters. A lot of fighters. Well, about 99% of the fighters live paycheck to paycheck because they pay us per fight. They don't pay a monthly pay. So it's a per fight. After you're done fighting, you have to find some other thing you're doing on the side in order to generate revenue for yourself, income for yourself. So when it comes to retirement, I don't think a lot of the younger fighters, I don't think they're thinking about that. They're just going 100 miles per hour. And it's usually closer towards when their career is over is when everyone start thinking about retirement, because they don't really have a lot of the fighters don't have a skill sets they could lean on as far as something that can help them generate income. So that's a good
Well,
question.
hypothetically, let's say there's 10 fighters like yourself who are ready to
Mm-hmm.
retire, and each of those fighters have 10,000 followers. If you formed a speakers bureau, then you have 100,000 followers you can bring to the table, right?
Yes, sir.
And then that would be attractive to a sponsor by you going out to churches and boys and girls club and so forth, and talking your experiences, and also the motivation, letting the kids know what that even though you're a company, they're not always looking out for your best interest.
Great idea.
Yes, sir.
So I see a huge opportunity in having a speakers bureau under some umbrella, and so you can give these other fighters like yourself, not only a platform, but if you have a sponsor of the speakers bureau, then that would open up the doors,
I
to
love that.
attract
I love that.
to
I love that.
to pay these people that are like in your position,
Yes,
that
sir.
they spend so much time beating their body up, and now they're done. Now what?
Yes, sir.
So now we have a media broker in Seattle that we can use, and they can get us any media at like 10 cents on the dollar. So let's just say we wanted to do a full page ad on the Speakers Bureau in, let's say, Fortune magazine. A full page ad's like $200,000. We can buy it for like $20,000.
Wait, we can buy it for how much?
We could buy it for about 10 to 20 cents on the dollar. So a full page ad in Fortune is about $200,000. Our cost off the record is about $20,000.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good.
So we could offer to a company. We could promote the Speakers Bureau. Give a sponsor other media right off the bat. The idea of companies hiring you to come and speak to their employees or their kids' schools. They're just he said that it helped leverage somebody coming up off the ground.
That's it.
The same thing too with we have access to national radio. So if you wanted to do I wouldn't call it MMA. I would call it. Obviously, I've come up with another name. Call it called fighting for a chance. People's Bureau or something like that. Then there's ways also to do a 1 minute commercial on every day. And I'm just bringing it to attention because we have access to about any media you can think of at like 10 cents on the dollar, including ESPN and other places. But eventually, that's why we put our own newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to have the Kennedy Fighting Times newspaper, that could be done. We mailed to anybody. Last year, we had our papers shipped to the NBA retired players meeting in Vegas. So
I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for that, Tom. If you remember, you actually put the UMYO platform along with a couple of our kids with the sports card, and that's part of the card that Kennedy is an ambassador for, the UMYO sports card. And we'll be sending you some information about that along with the video that Bernard mentioned. I love the ideas that you shared, brother, your mind and your the way your thought process is always about helping others. So we would love to put together something between you and UMYO where we can help you and you can help us and we can move forward together. When you speak to Kennedy about the media platform, I come to mind, I'm thinking about the players that was on the Harlem Globetrotters that you work with. I'm thinking about Derek Polk, the former Ohio State center for the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm also thinking about how Kennedy may be able to get into the Healthy Referral newspaper to get moved around and get the name and get UMYO's sports card information out there again. So let's do this. I have your email address. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be sending you information. And let's put together a memorandum of understanding where you can see what you'll get out of it. We can see what we can share as far as resources and knowledge that you have. And let's make it happen, man. I see us being able to help you with not only with getting your newspaper out there because of the information and because people need to know about what you spoke to earlier in this podcast. We have to have you as a regular on this program, on this podcast. You have to be a regular, Tom, as well as always promoting your paper. We need to work together, man. We need to make it happen. I also see us extending this to helping you build that tennis center, brother. The tennis center is important. And somebody said, many hands make light work. So with that said, man, let's stay in touch. I'm gonna get some information over to you, brother. We got another meeting coming up. Go ahead.
Please send me a picture of Kennedy and a short bio so I can do some more thinking.
Okay. Done, boss. You. Done. We'll get that done. And yeah, come on, let's do it, Tom. And then let's talk some resources. And I'm serious. Let's talk resources. Let's chop it up where we can share percentages, where we can even leverage your audience. You can leverage our audience and some of the connections. I think about the Adelson, the Mavericks owner family. I think about all the things that you talked about. But most importantly, I think about the health issue that needs to be out there, brother. And of course, big media is not going to do it. So it's so this is sort of like our under the radar ground floor effort to get the truth out there, Tom, and that begins with you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everybody's time, but I definitely the first thing that popped into my mind was a former MMA speakers bureau. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. The experience that they've had and what they had to go through is very hard to explain to somebody. And but I think there's a huge value in what it takes to live in that world and apply it to yourself.
I totally agree. So this is just the beginning of our conversation. We'll get that information to you from Kennedy. Kennedy, you have any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank you, Mr. Tom. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your wise knowledge and words. I'm grateful, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for Les and your crew to introduce me to you, and also thanks for your work. And when I first met Les, it's all about collaborating with like minds that have the big picture in mind and be able to leverage all of our resources better to raise everybody up. That's the whole point. All right. Les, appreciate it. Kennedy, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bernard,
Peace and blessings,
thanks.
my friend.